Some good news. A journalist, Hopewell Chinono, has been released on bail. He was rearrested a few weeks ago for allegedly violating his bail conditions by tweeting a letter raising concerns about the independence of the judiciary in Zimbabwe. This, of course, in a climate of increasing worry about media freedom in Zimbabwe. I'm joined now by Pindai Dube, our Harare correspondent, currently visiting us in Johannesburg. It's lovely to see you face to face. Pindai, thank you so much for coming through to studio. Okay. Just tell us what happened exactly with Hopewell Chinono today.
Okay, Hopewell was granted bail today by Justice Tawanda Chitapi of the High Court. He was given conditions of the bail. They said that he should not tweet anything which defeat justice, and also he should still stay at the same home he was staying before. Remember, he was arrested about a month ago, and he stayed about 6 weeks at the Jikurubi maximum prison on charges of inciting public violence. So this time it was about defeating justice, and so the judge say he should not tweet anything to obstructing justice.
Right, and that's a very broad term. Defeating justice could be interpreted in many ways. It could land him up behind bars again. Has Hopewell Chinono released any statement since his release? Do we know where he is, and is he fine?
No, he hasn't released any statement yet. But what I understand, he will be released maybe this evening from Jikurubi maximum prison, since the bail was granted this afternoon. So what happened, he will be released from the prison this evening.
All right, so it's good news about Hopewell Chinono, but also a more broader concern about freedom of expression for journalists and those ongoing concerns that judiciary is not as independent as it should be. How would you, as a journalist working in Zimbabwe, describe the environment that you're having to operate in?
Yeah, Sally, in the past, in fact, for this past year, the whole year, we had about 30 cases of harassment of journalists, the main one being Hopewell Chinono, and also Mdudu Matutu is the editor of Zim Live, an online magazine. So actually I can say there is deterioration of freedom of expression in Zimbabwe. But the government is also saying they are doing all they can to stop the harassment of journalists. I asked Nick Mankwana, who is the Secretary for Information, why are we continuing to have such harassment of journalists? And he says sometimes they won't know this is happening, or some overzealous, maybe cops on the ground, will be harassing journalists. For example, we had a case of 2 journalists who were arrested about 2 weeks ago. These journalists were attending a Harare council meeting, so the police came and arrested all the councillors, including the journalists. So they say, and they were screened and released at the Harare Central Police. So he says, at situations like that, we have to screen first. We won't know which one is not a journalist or which one is a journalist. Yes.
It's very interesting, the Information Minister's response. You know, it's been 3 years since Robert Mugabe was ousted. You know, there was a lot of hope when Emerson Mnangagwa was voted in. People thinking this could herald a new opportunity for Zimbabwe. 3 years on, are things better, worse, the same?
Yeah, actually, Sally, I can say, as you know, situation in Zimbabwe is worsened for the past 3 years. And there's shortage of cash, shortage of clean water, shortage of medicines in hospital. So the situation actually it has become tough for ordinary people. And according to the Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Union, which is the biggest trade union in Zimbabwe, unemployment rate is currently at 90%, you see. So, but still the government also on the other side, they're blaming the sanctions which were imposed by the West. Remember in 2000, there are sanctions which were imposed by the United States and the European Union over violation of human rights during the land grab, etc. So ZANU-PF is blaming that, and they are also saying they also have a day now, 26 October, which they call Anti-Sanctions Day, where they march and denounce the sanctions.
Yes. But the reality for an ordinary person living in Zimbabwe is things are worse, as you say, lack of access to fresh water very often, even in the big cities.
Yes, yes, exactly. And I was in Beitbridge, at the border town of Beitbridge. Actually, there is a huge number of Zimbabweans who are flocking into South Africa because there is no employment. They are saying prices are too high. Some are going to buy in Musina, you see. They are saying prices are too high.
Oh, well. Thank you for updating us on Hopewell Chinono. It's a story we've really been covering quite a lot on this particular program, and it's lovely to see you, so I hope you enjoy your stay in South Africa. That's our Harare correspondent, Pindai Dube, who is currently visiting us here in Johannesburg.